The Lonely Man. Mr. Harris was an old man. He lived in a small house at the end of the street. His house was dark and cold. The windows were dirty, and the garden was full of weeds. He did not care. He did not want visitors. Mr. Harris was not friendly. He never smiled. When people walked by, he looked away. When children played near his house, he shouted, "Go away!" The children were afraid of him. They called him the Angry Man. Every day, Mr. Harris sat on a wooden chair in front of his house. He sat alone. He did not talk to anyone. He only watched people passing by. His eyes were cold, and his face was full of lines. Inside the house, it was quiet. There was old furniture and dust everywhere. On the table, there were broken cups and old newspapers. No one visited him. No one knocked on his door. At night, Mr. Harris sat by the window. He saw people with their families. He saw children laughing. He saw neighbors talking together. But he stayed alone in his dark room. He told himself, "I don't need anyone." Mr. Harris was angry and lonely. His heart was hard, and he had forgotten kindness. One sunny morning, Mr. Harris sat on his wooden chair. He looked at the street as usual. He saw people walking fast. They did not stop to talk to him. He liked that. He wanted to be alone. Then a little girl came. She was about 8 years old. She had brown hair and big, bright eyes. She carried a small red ball in her hands. She stopped in front of Mr. Harris's house. The girl looked at him and smiled. "Hello, sir," she said. Mr. Harris did not answer. He only looked at her with his cold eyes. He wanted her to go away, but the girl did not leave. She stayed there and asked, "Why are you sitting alone?" Mr. Harris felt angry. "Go home," he said in a hard voice. The girl just smiled again. "I like the sun," she said softly. Mr. Harris was surprised. Most children ran away when he shouted, but this girl was different. She was not afraid. She only stood there with her red ball and her gentle smile. After a moment, the ball fell from her hands. It rolled into Mr. Harris's garden. She walked slowly to pick it up. Mr. Harris wanted to shout again, but he stopped. He looked at her small hands and her kind face. For the first time in a long time, he did not feel angry. He felt something else, but he did not know what it was. The next day, Mr. Harris sat outside again. He thought the little girl would not come back, but in the afternoon, he saw her walking down the street. She was holding her red ball. She stopped at his gate and waved. "Hello, sir," she said with a big smile. Mr. Harris frowned. He did not answer. Still, the girl walked closer. "Why do you never smile?" she asked. Mr. Harris was shocked. No one had asked him that before. "Because I have no reason," he said in a rough voice. The girl tilted her head. "Smiling is free," she said. "It makes people happy." Then she smiled again, showing her small teeth. Her eyes were warm and bright. Mr. Harris felt strange. He wanted to tell her to go away, but the words did not come. Her smile was soft, and it stayed in his mind. For a moment, he felt his anger fade. The girl picked a flower from the street. She held it out to him. "Here, this is for you," she said. Mr. Harris looked at the flower. His hands shook a little, but he took it. He had not received a gift in many years. He looked at the small flower in his hand. Something warm touched his heart. He did not smile, but for the first time he wanted to. One cool morning, the little girl came again. She walked with her red ball, but this time she also carried a small basket. When she reached Mr. Harris's gate, she smiled as always. "Good morning, sir," she said. Mr. Harris only nodded. The girl held up the basket. "I brought tea," she said. "My mother made it. It is warm." She took out a small cup and poured the tea. The steam rose into the air. The smell was sweet and gentle. She gave the cup to Mr. Harris. At first, he did not move. He had not shared tea with anyone for many years. His hands trembled as he slowly took the cup. He looked at the girl. She was still smiling. Mr. Harris tasted the tea. It was hot and soft. Something inside him changed. "Thank you," he said quietly. His voice was not so hard this time. The girl's smile grew bigger. "You are welcome," she answered. She sat on the ground near his chair. She talked about school, her friends, and her games. Mr. Harris listened. He did not say much, but he felt the silence in his heart grow smaller. When the cup was empty, the girl stood up. "I will come again tomorrow," she said. Mr. Harris looked at her red ball, her kind face, and the empty cup in his hand. He gave a small nod. For the first time, he wanted her to return. The next afternoon, the girl came again. She sat on the ground near Mr. Harris's chair. She held her red ball and looked up at him. "Can you tell me a story?" she asked. Mr. Harris frowned. "I don't know stories," he said. The girl shook her head. "Everyone has a story," she whispered. Mr. Harris was quiet for a long time. At last, he spoke. "I was not always alone," he said slowly. "I had a wife. I had a son." His voice grew soft. The girl listened carefully. "My wife was kind," Mr. Harris continued. "She loved flowers. She filled this garden with roses. My son was small, like you. He had bright eyes." The girl leaned closer. "What happened?" she asked. Mr. Harris's hands shook. He looked away. "They are gone," he said. His voice broke. "Many years ago, after that, I closed my heart. I did not want people near me. I thought it was easier to be angry than to feel pain." The girl's eyes filled with tears. She touched his hand gently. "I am sorry," she said. Her voice was soft and kind. Mr. Harris looked at her small hand on his. For many years, no one had touched him with kindness. His heart felt heavy, but also warm. "You are a brave little girl," he said at last. The girl smiled. "And you are not only angry," she replied. For the first time, Mr. Harris almost smiled back. One cold morning, Mr. Harris sat outside as usual. The wind was strong, and he coughed again and again. His face looked tired. The little girl came running with her red ball. When she saw him coughing, she stopped. "Are you sick?" she asked. Mr. Harris waved his hand. "It is nothing," he said. But his voice was weak. The girl did not believe him. She ran back to her house. A few minutes later, she returned with a scarf and a small bowl of soup. She held them out to him. "Here, this will help," she said. Mr. Harris stared at the scarf in her hands. It was blue, soft, and warm. He slowly took it and wrapped it around his neck. Then he took the soup and drank it carefully. The heat spread through his body. For a moment, he felt tears in his eyes. No one had cared for him like this in many years. He looked at the girl. "Why are you helping me?" he asked. The girl smiled gently. "Because kindness is important," she said. "When we care for others, our hearts become strong." Mr. Harris could not answer. His throat felt tight. He looked at her small hands, her bright eyes, and her simple gift. Inside, something was changing. The walls around his heart began to break. That night, for the first time in many years, Mr. Harris whispered to himself, "I am not alone." A week later, the little girl came again. She was smiling as always. In her hands, she carried a small box wrapped in paper. "Good afternoon, sir," she said. "I have something for you." She gave the box to Mr. Harris. He looked surprised. "For me?" he asked. The girl nodded. "Yes, it is a gift." Slowly, Mr. Harris opened the box. Inside was a small picture frame. It was made of wood, and inside the frame was a simple drawing. The drawing showed a man and a little girl standing together under the sundae. Both of them were smiling. Mr. Harris held the frame with shaking hands. His eyes filled with tears. "You drew this?" he asked. The girl nodded again. "Yes, I wanted you to see that you can smile. You are not only angry, you can be kind too." Mr. Harris could not speak for a moment. He looked at the picture again and again. The man in the drawing looked happy. The little girl looked safe and warm. "Thank you," Mr. Harris whispered at last. His voice was soft and broken, but it was full of feeling. The girl smiled and said, "Now you have something to look at when you feel lonely." Mr. Harris put the frame on his old table inside the house. For the first time in many years, his home did not feel so empty. That night, he looked at the drawing once more. He touched the frame and whispered, "Maybe I can change." The days passed, and Mr. Harris began to change. He no longer shouted at the children in the street. When they played near his garden, he stayed quiet. Sometimes he even watched them and felt calm. He started to clean his house. He opened the windows, and fresh air came in. He threw away the old newspapers and washed the dirty cups. The house looked brighter. It did not feel so dark anymore. One morning, he walked to the market. People were surprised to see him there. He bought bread, fruit, and flowers. For many years, he had never bought flowers, but now he wanted to see colors in his home. When the little girl came that afternoon, she saw the flowers on the table. Her eyes grew wide. "They are beautiful," she said. Mr. Harris smiled a little. It was not a big smile, but it was real. The girl clapped her hands. "See, you can smile." Mr. Harris laughed softly. It was the first time he had laughed in many years. The sound surprised even him. From that day, he tried to be kinder. He said hello to neighbors. He gave an apple to a child. He even helped a woman carry her bag. People looked at him with new eyes. They did not see only the angry old man anymore. They saw someone who could change. In his heart, Mr. Harris felt lighter. The heavy weight of anger began to leave. He thought of the little girl's words. "Kindness is important," he whispered to himself. She was right. One morning, the little girl did not come. Mr. Harris waited in his chair. He looked at the street again and again, but she was not there. The next day, it was the same. His heart felt heavy. On the third day, a small envelope was left at his door. Mr. Harris picked it up with shaking hands. His name was written on the front. Inside was a short letter. The handwriting was small and round. "Dear Mr. Harris, I cannot come to the street for some time. My family is visiting my grandmother in another town. Please do not be sad. I will come back soon. Don't forget to smile. Your friend, Anna." Mr. Harris read the letter many times. Each word touched his heart. For the first time in years, someone had called him a friend. He held the letter close to his chest. The days felt long without the little girl. He missed her smile. He missed her red ball. He missed her kind words. The street was quiet, and his chair felt cold. But when he looked at the picture frame on his table, he remembered her voice. "You can smile. You can be kind." The letter and the drawing gave him strength. Each morning, he opened the window and put flowers in the sundae. He wanted the girl to see them when she came back. He whispered, "I will wait." One bright morning, the little girl returned. She ran down the street with her red ball. When she saw Mr. Harris, she waved. "I'm back," she shouted. Mr. Harris stood up from his chair, his face lit with joy. For the first time in many years, he gave a true smile. "Welcome home, Anna," he said softly. The girl clapped her hands. "You are smiling," she cried. Mr. Harris nodded. "Yes," he said, "because you taught me how." They sat together in the garden. The flowers were blooming, and the air was warm. Mr. Harris poured tea, and Anna told him stories about her grandmother. He listened with kind eyes, no longer the angry old man from before. Later, Anna asked, "Do you still feel lonely?" Mr. Harris looked at the sky. He shook his head. "No, because I learned something. When we close our hearts, we live in darkness. But when we open our hearts, we find light. You gave me that light." Anna smiled and held his hand. "Kindness is powerful," she said. That evening, neighbors saw Mr. Harris walking in the street. He greeted them with a smile. The children no longer ran from him. They waved back. The man who was once feared became someone different. From that day, Mr. Harris's house was no longer cold and dark. It was a place of warmth, flowers, and gentle laughter. And whenever people asked about the change, Mr. Harris always said, "It began with a little girl and a simple smile." One small act of kindness can change a whole life.